to do this one?
No.
I'm not going to manage this, Kevin.
So there we are. This is the footage, the actual footage from our trip away to Morocco for the second time we went there, and we will let you know how we ended up in this position, because we feel it is important for us to share our opinion, so others do not make these silly mistakes.
That position that you just seen there was me pulling a halt to the tour on safety grounds, and at that specific point and the points just before that, I was singly, I can probably state, the most terrified I've ever been in my life for my own safety and my family's safety. From that point, that was probably one of the lowest points I've been at that point, to be able to pull that and say that and to stop that. And as the kind of person I am, to not admit defeat but realise that I've been put in a position so incredibly bad that I need to take action into my own hands, which was the only way that this was going to happen. So to
start the story from the beginning,
yes,
we maybe if you follow our channel, then you would know that we took our truck to Morocco in October school holidays. We left the truck there and we were flying out on the 12th of November back to Morocco to join this tour. It's called Overland Morocco with Kevin and Heike. Now this wasn't a 5-minute spur of a moment thing, because as you know, we got kids and the truck has been built for over 3 years. So everything was, I would say, well planned from our side. And
I've been in touch with Kevin and Heike for well over a year. The truck wasn't even built.
So we wanted to be, despite our experience and despite we are quite knowledgeable about many countries we have been, not even just overlanding, but on foot and all sorts of things. We still wanted to basically cover ourselves and be extra cautious, and we thought we are going to book a tour, so we are assured that routes we take, they're very safe for our children, because we need to take responsibility for our kids. We can't just be mad, jump in an overlanding Defender and go somewhere, which is not that risky, but could potentially be risky.
Again, this is our experience, and this is how we want to do things, and this is the decisions over a period of time that we wanted to make. And we came to the decision that this was the route that we wanted to take, was to get somebody else in. We just wanted to go about, see the highlights, and not have to think about it, really. I mean, I first approached Kevin and Heike and said that we have the truck, we're building the truck, we're new to the truck, we have children, we're new to overlanding with children.
And the truck,
and due to COVID as well, obviously all travel stopped. Subsequently, what had happened was we arrived fresh. We've all seen the channel, and the channel, we did this because we were wanting to travel in this format, in this route like this, whereas we take the truck someplace, we leave it there for a period of time, we get somebody like a guide or a tour or whatever to take us around and show us safely all these areas and places.
And also because they have got limited time.
Because we've got limited time, and I wanted to bring this channel because there's lots of people with trucks, bigger vans, whatever, that don't have time, and it's what we're going to do these days. Or if you wanted to go out and buy yourself an expedition vehicle, but you didn't want to go and travel the world and be on the road for 2, 3, 4 years at a time, your life doesn't let you do that. This is why we put this together, and this is our findings, and it's quite an eye-opener as far as our first attempt is concerned.
That's right, and therefore we are sitting here, and therefore we're taking time out of work, and we feel obliged to share this with you, because I think we haven't been in a bigger turmoil for a very long time, and we must tell you this, because you can make your own assumption based on what we tell you. This is our opinion, our experience, but assure you, it's fresh. If we just go back from that, and I think it is, whoever wants to travel especially trucking kids, be aware.
Absolutely.
So we have arrived back in the campsite late last night, and we're going to be getting ready for the trip tomorrow, aren't we, Mark?
Yeah, so that's us. We flew in last night, Marrakesh airport, got the taxi. It was about 30 we paid
Euros.
30 euros.
It's a quite short.
It's a good run. It was a
Good run, yeah.
It was fair. I think that's a fair price. So, especially with fuel over here, it's not any different.
Absolutely.
So that's us. Spent the night last night. It was a quick dash in, make bed up, get things sorted out, and then the rest of it this morning. So that's us just finished off. We've met Kevin and Heike.
They approached us and they had this spiel about, we're going to go see some sites, we're going to meet the local people, we're going to go to the markets, we're just going to just low-key look around, but we'll take basically the best out, what you should see and feel and embrace for Morocco you will have from this trip, which I was over the moon to hear, and I thought that's great with the kids low-key and relaxed, quite relaxed pace and things like that.
And
it was hard to judge because Mark and myself, we did push them to give us literally 3-4 days before we were going, are you going to give us an itinerary? Because we like to prepare, we are responsible people.
And as well as what I just suggested, we want to go to see where we were going.
Absolutely. And I think after insisting on various occasions through phone calls and through WhatsApp messages, they did send us a very, very brief, I mean honestly.
We'll do a screenshot.
But it's extremely brief, and I would not think that's sufficient.
It's basically a list of cities. You go from there to there to there to there to there to there, and that's it. There was nothing of how you got there, where you got there, what you were doing. So again, as I said earlier, alarm bells should have started ringing. You know, I should have been aware that it was. Kevin said to me, "Oh, we don't want to fill your inbox up with the itinerary."
Yeah. Gaspingly, strange commentary.
Yeah, but like most things that we'll cover that you'll say. But anyway,
the alarm bells were ringing. I mean, that was one of them. There was many. Now looking back,
the truck was already there.
The truck was already there. I mean, you have to remember the whole essence of our trip was to see Morocco. With them, because
and the people. This was the tour we were going on. So the money, the expense, the time, the effort, getting the truck there, all the expense getting it there was for this tour.
Yeah.
So they've been about. There's still a few trucks kicking about here and travellers going about.
It's really warm as well.
It's lovely. It's really nice. Looking forward to it. Quite upbeat. Quite excited.
Yeah, Mark is upbeat, which is great. So yes, let's see how it goes. So we're away to check in. We didn't manage last night.
Yeah, go down to reception, see what they're saying, and take it from there, and then obviously we'll check out tomorrow morning.
Yep.
And start with the trip run.
Yep, we're gonna go get some shopping as well. The tour guide will give us a run into the local town.
Yeah, just round the corner. So we're gonna go in there, packing up all the truck to get it moved, and do it tomorrow morning. Because we don't need a lot. It's a small truck.
Would you not say so, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going about 4 kilometres, it's not that far, so it's not a long journey.
Perfect.
And I'll get some fuel on the way back. Perfect.
Obviously, we've been in touch with Kevin and Heike, and over a period of a year, I discussed with them that we were new to the truck was new, and more importantly, I had a very serious height phobia. So I wasn't interested in doing roads like Tizzy and Test and things like that in Morocco up over the High Atlas, because I knew my limitations. I knew that I got to a certain point. And it's high, don't get me wrong, it's nothing untoward here. I can run about Scotland, no problem. But there's certain times that I get into a position where I will freeze, that I will get to a point where I can't do any more. So that's where we were, and everything was fine, there was no problem at all. We'll do that. Been with trucks before, Kevin said, you just have to slow the pace down, you do this, that, the next thing. To which I'm not a slow driver, I've had a lot of experience in trucks. The truck goes well, it's an ex-Paris Dakar service truck, and I had no problems. I'd spent a colossal amount of money on this truck. I just had new tyres fitted that you've seen in the videos, and I made sure that everything was 100% of the vehicle.
Bye-bye.
See.
Nice job. Very nice. Thank you very much. Very good.
So I thought to check in what we are up to just now. I will show you the current view. This is our first day. We took off from our campsite and we're going on this trip. So we're heading for High Atlas, aren't we, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see these rocks and things. There's a huge massive queue. Yeah, so this is it. It looks pretty mad if you ask me. You okay, Ma? What was he showing you?
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah. This is it. I'm just gonna follow the other two cars we are in a group with. It was a really, really early start. It was tiring. But we are on the road. Kids look. My oldest should have been in the school, but he's in somewhere in Morocco. So there you go. How are you feeling, Daddy?
The last 100 metres we just turned into a different country. We went out of Marrakesh now, it's dried up riverbeds and palm trees and different colour. It's just a completely different feel to it altogether now.
So we'll keep you posted how we get on with our trip. Yeah, we have kind of run out of the road. The road has disappeared.
Gradually getting less and less.
Absolutely, rapidly actually.
It's gone.
So yeah, Mark is off-roading.
Off on the road.
Yeah. Of course, I've seen an advert for argan oil. Argan oil also comes with Moroccan.
There's also little grey cars. They look like smart cars. They actually look like Fiat 500s but smaller.
Right?
And there was dozens and dozens and dozens of lorries, transporters with these all in grey. And I meant to find out what they are or where they come from. It's obviously a Moroccan car manufacturer, but I've never seen any on the road. They're all the same colour, same shape. Unless they're all grey fibre put in a factory or something.
Something to find out then.
Wow. We're not doing it the first time, actually.
Almost leave it at 11.
Of course,
Drive till 6.
5, 6. But I just don't know, is this a small kilometer day or standard, small, or
It's
little?
got- You could have got to the point where you're like, well, I don't want that, I don't want this. I'm seeing something with half-baked text.
Yeah, not great.
Can't, I'm trying to plot where I think the route's going to be. This isn't what I thought down here.
It's going to turn very dramatic now.
Bridge is big enough.
That's being good. Okay, he's police officers. What did he say to you? Just go?
We have headed off, we went up Tizzy and Titchner. Tizzy and Titchner is getting worked on. It is a very windy road, it is very high, but as far as I'm concerned and my phobia is concerned, it's very wide, there's tarmac, it is steep drop-offs, but they're way over there, safety rails, and I'm driving up. So when I'm driving up, I can basically look up, drive as normal. So there was no issues with roads like that.
There were no issues, but another alarm bell that was ringing time by time was if we are going through some small villages, the narrative from him was in his poorly maintained CB, which he doesn't seem to be bothered to change.
It's not poorly maintained, the aerial is broken and as I said, it hasn't worked for the
12
last
years,
12
okay.
years. So you can't give you any indications, you can't speak any more than a few hundred metres up the road,
Yeah.
you lose communications.
Which with the truck, we would be a few meters behind. That's just naturally get
Absolutely.
caught at traffic lights, different places.
A scooter in front of you,
Absolutely.
I can't overtake them,
Exactly.
so it takes time.
So, but the commentary often was, judge for yourself if there were any overhead obstructions with the wiring.
Which
And-
to be fair, I mean, that kind of thing on that specifics is okay when we know the height of our truck now, as you've seen from previous videos, and we were aware of what was happening. Once you get
I
into
just found it strange. So he kept saying that
alarm bells should have been ringing again,
Yeah,
but it wasn't. We got ourselves in these positions.
It's all fun and nice and great and how, you know. It's, I don't know, it's just me. If it was just me, maybe it's not working. But if I was Kevin, I'd be like, okay, take your time. There's nothing coming. I'm at the bottom. You know, so you can, but
Yeah.
I'm waiting for something to come out the corners. So I,
So we are getting on with our travels. We have been driving for a couple of hours already. This is our second day in the tour. Everybody's still alive. And I just wanted to show you something. Apparently the place where we stopped,
At the roundabout, take the
try to
second
find
exit to
a small
A10.
footage for it. I think I filmed a wee bit. It's a place where they make products from the roses. We stopped at the shop and they had everything, all the natural produce from the roses, from the cooking oil, tea, masks, rose spray and so on. So I'll show you my Richies. I got some as well. So I'll show you. Wait for this. Right, this is rose tea. I've never had it, so we just need to try. And then this is
Continue on A10.
a rose cream that is anti-wrinkle, which is a bonus, and it is a moisturizing cream. But it's a nighttime cream. They don't have actually daytime cream, and just as well I asked. Because apparently it has this oil in it. And she said that you need to process 4 tons of rose flowers to gain a liter of rose oil apparently. So there you go. And I'll show you. I did a small footage on it, but this spray, this here, it's called the rose water. Most of the shop consisted of them, and fiver, 50 dirham, and you can use it for anything, even for cooking. And apparently it's distilled. You can use for eye washes, for the face moisturizing, for skin condition, and so on. So yeah, it's a bit of like a miracle. All rounder, yeah. And because I was together with another girl from the tour, Erika, and she was buying all these different things, including for the lips and things from the shop, and she didn't buy this. And the shop assistant was horrified. She's like, "Oh, are you not going to buy this? Because that obviously is the best seller, because she'd bought everything else except that." So it's a wee bit a humorous thing, but anyway, she bought it again, and so did I. And lastly, for all the expenditure, you get a small gift of a natural rose soap. So there you go.
Get something in the shower tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, the thing is that we have been traveling quite extensively yesterday. We are tired with the children. We had early starts, late finishes, so we are on the brink of not collapse, but certainly it's taking toll on us already, isn't it, Dad?
It's only day 2.
Yeah, it's only day 2, which I fear,
You usually find all these things trying to adjust to somebody else's pace is quite hard because when you're used to doing your own thing
It's a car coming.
at your own pace, it's a lot harder when somebody comes around and says, right, we're going to leave at 8:30, which is actually which is your 7:30.
Yeah.
But then, you've got the children. The children don't know what's happening. They don't know that they have to be up 2 hours earlier. And you're not going to get them to the bed 2 hours earlier. So then you have that knock-on effect, don't you? And then they're grumpy, and then one of them falls asleep in the back here. And it's just... So River didn't go to sleep till midnight last night. So
No, he didn't.
You expected utter palaver tonight. This afternoon.
And my alarm went off at 10 minutes past 7, which is actually 10 minutes past 6 UK time, because we've only been 2 days in Morocco, so we're not adjusted yet. And honestly, I could give my kidney away for having another hour in the bed. It was so tiring. But we are here, we're doing it, so yeah. Obviously with the kids it's harder. I mean, if it's just a couple, like we used to travel, it's not nearly as
considerably easier. But then again, it is weighed up because we have got the truck. So it is considerably, don't get me wrong, it's so much harder for the kids. But having the truck, let them sleep a little bit longer, you can get up and make a coffee, while you're not outside the Land Rover and the tent that you have to wake up. So we've got to be thankful for small mercies that it could be worse.
Yeah, definitely could be worse. I mean, I'm loving the truck. I said to Mark that definitely pure luxury of travel, definitely. I see the worst now. Even in Europe I didn't see as much worse, or maybe it just was there but I never thought of it. But certainly now I think it's that good.
I think with some of the campsites, or wild camps, or whatever you want to call it, some of the campsites will say rather quite poor. Facilities are quite poor. That having some place that you can sit with the kids, play a game, do something on leg, but sit and do things, it's great as opposed to sitting on deck chair things outside in the dusty campsite thing.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen it, done it, so truck is better. Definitely worth it. So going back to the route and things, we are today. I think it's the last day before we are gonna manage to reach the desert. We will reach Marzuka tomorrow, and I think we'll stay there 2 days. But I'll show you in the map.
Big gorge coming today, I'm sure that's going to be good. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh yeah, Mark is
The
gonna
highlights.
definitely. Mark is going to put GoPro. Hopefully we'll find a minute to put the GoPro on, so everybody can enjoy it. Because yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah.
I think we took some photographs of other cars yesterday. We didn't do anything.
I have a small one. Yeah, I'll go a wee bit footage through my phone. I will put in the film.
It's so deep, so far away. I don't suppose footage will really do the video do that much justice.
Justice, yeah.
You just never tell how fast, big, impressive it is.
Yeah, definitely. But we've had overall really nice time with the locals. They're really friendly and just lovely. It's really nice. A different vibe altogether. Nice. So we'll keep you updated.
We had to go. We were going to the gorge. We travelled up the gorge road, which I really wanted to do, but I'd prepared myself already for it. There's videos of Peter with his truck and a few others doing that road. I knew I would be very cautious doing it. I knew it would be hard for me to do it, but it's a road that buses go up and down. You know, lorries go up and down.
It is still a challenging road.
It's a challenging road, but
windy
I can make sure that the last section going up there to the very high heights. Now, don't get me wrong. Doing this, I was very anxious. I got to the top of the viewing platform. I was very anxious, and it was definitely a bit too much for my anxiety standing at the edge. But driving there was no issues. The run up to the gorge, and it's us all standing next to a fence looking down at the hairpins and the road below on the gorge and the run up to that day. And that actual photograph, I was rigid. Layla picked up River and went near the side, and I froze because Layla had lifted the child and went close to the edge. And this was all very well explained, that these kind of roads were not for me. There's people love this kind of thing, there's people do this kind of thing. For me personally, I don't do this kind of thing, I can't do that kind of thing. So that's good.
I don't know how you do it with this truck. I really think
I don't know how my husband does it. I wonder the same, Heike.
We then carried on through the gorge.
Decision was made basically to stay at the campsite just past the gorge to Daddy's. Apparently the weather front had come in and the weather was very bad to carry on. At this point we weren't aware where we were carrying on, because to be honest, every time when I said, can you give us location?
We're kept in the dark always.
Yeah, and I kept asking, can you give us basically that day's final destination in case we do lose them, or we got children, we would stop.
The CB doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a stressful way of driving if you don't know where exactly you're driving, because the first day or so they were insisting just follow us. I mean, clearly they have no experience. The truck not
No
naturally
idea.
will go slower, not all. I think, Mark, you drove well.
Faster than them, but
Yeah,
I get held up.
But yeah, it's the scooters, it's the motorbikes, it's the road
You've got other
works or
trucks doing
whatever.
2 miles an hour in Morocco.
Absolutely.
It is what it is, and I
So-
can't overtake them.
Yeah, so it would never work, just following them, because it's just, I don't know.
It's a very infantile way of doing anything.
Absolutely.
You just follow us. And as Layla quite rightly is pointing out, even trying to get Heike to draw on a map
Yeah.
where we'd been, what we're doing was just astronomically hard. Whereas on other guided tours, expeditions, whatever you want to call them, we've been on, it was quite simply you met up in the morning
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock or whatever it was before we headed off. You got the map out and everybody discussed and risk assessed where you're going that day, what you're doing that day, how you're going to do it, who's going to be the front car, who's going to be the back car, blah blah blah.
So the weather front was coming in, and they said, we're just going to stay in this campsite tonight, and we're going to pick up tomorrow. And the whole conversation was going about back.
Going back, yeah.
Because the weather, it was raining, it was really, really cold, and I think the general consensus felt that it was to go back. But Heike told me that evening when I was, afternoon when we were sitting in that campsite, she said, Chris, you wouldn't want to go up there. It's so many miles and gravel roads are really dangerous, so just as well, we're going to go back. That was the story.
I wasn't unfortunately aware of that conversation.
I thought, and she actually said to me, I don't know guys how you're doing that in a truck. Of course I took it as being a female and maybe having some humorous notion in it that, oh Christ, I don't know how you do that in a truck. But it did make me wonder, why would you say, oh yeah, the road, what you were planning to take would be up the gravel road, really dangerous, and luckily we're not going to do it, we're going to stay here because the weather front is bad up there, so we're going to stay here, and in the morning we're going to turn back. But of course Mark will carry on.
So, yeah.
The whole story is completely different next morning.
Woke up that morning after sleeping very little the night before, for the simple fact Kevin had said to us, we're going to go back. We're going to go back down the hairpin road that I was standing looking over that I'd discussed with you. I was very anxious about being in a truck going head first. It's different, as most people will know watching this, going up on steep inclines, you're looking up, you're driving up. Coming down in a truck, you're coming to the hairpin, slowing right to the corner of the hairpin and looking over the edge. You're then turning and travelling down and doing that again. That, as we speak now, is my hands are starting to sweat. That was gave me serious anxiety to be able to do that. So, as I'd said earlier, everybody does that. I'd already got that in my head. Trucks do that. It's a tarred road.
I did also keep saying to Mark,
You did.
it is a tarred road. Plus,
No big deal.
it is, no, I don't know if buses would come, maybe the tour buses would come, but the road is generally used for the driving purposes.
All vehicles to the villages beyond all come that way.
So it is doable.
Oh, it's 100% doable.
Yeah.
And I'd watched videos of trucks probably bigger than mine doing it. So it was like, it is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
I have a phobia. I know the truck can do that part on the gravel, on the tarmac, and I just need to try. So that morning after breakfast time with the children, I jumped out. I went over to Kevin and I spoke to Kevin and said, due to my phobia that we've discussed at length, that drive was bordering my abilities, and certainly going down and going back now, it's made me incredibly anxious. I am worried about it, and if we could try and manage this situation for me, just to get myself back down it again. I know it's something that's not particularly difficult for anybody else, but for me it needs to be managed. If you could lend a hand doing that. To which Kevin said, not a problem. The Heike's actually on the phone just now. The weather forecast really great up the road. This is the way I got told it. Up the road, there's no problems. Being relatively apprehensive and not knowing where we were going anyway, I said to Kevin at that point, up the road, what kind of condition is the road in? We are in the Atlas here. What kind of condition is the road is what we're going to do. It goes through some villages, and then it's a wide gravel road. It goes up and opens up into plains.
That's exact wording.
That is the exact wording Kevin told me. To which I thought, thank God, because all my anxiety...
You were relieved, and we thought, Christ, we have got away from this necessity to go back down the windy road. We are saved. Because with the truck, it is much more challenging than with the car. And yeah, we thought that's great.
Yeah,
Dump the kids in.
Yeah, jump the kids in. The mood lifted. You know, we're going up a gravel track and plains, little house in the prairie kind of thing is what I was led to believe.
So that's us pulling out from this amazing campsite. It was really nice. Really nice place, and nice people. So yeah, awesome. We're carrying on today. Carrying on after our windy roads yesterday. Everybody is slightly more tired than every day, more and more tired, unfortunately, but we are doing our thing. Sand for the livestock and all that. Look at it. And Mark has cleaned the windscreen. Thank you so much. Really lovely. I mean, I do see a massive difference. I think that's something that leads us to take in all the beauty, because Mark, of course, can't look much right or left. He needs to concentrate on the road. Mark is also scared of heights. So yeah, for us it's a challenge, mostly for Mark. So I tried to capture some footage so he can look at it later when he stops, which he enjoys it, these tea breaks and this evening time, don't you, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got some of these roads, you've got to get tyre placement quite right. You know, there's either bad roads or there's nothing to the left or the right. So
Yeah.
you don't take a look, unfortunately.
It's day 3. I forgot to mention this is day 3 of the tour. And we are going up and up and up.
We then carried on and we headed in up through the windy sections of road with drop-offs, and it didn't really put me up or down. These drop-offs were hundreds of feet, but they were what they were.
Some of them were quite high. I remember we met the guy. We bought some things.
At that point, there's a valid point. We were starting to get quite high, and we turned a corner, and there was a little chap selling stuff, and Layla's obviously wants to try and give back to the community and do things as much as she can. So she said, I want to jump out and buy something for him and, you know, pay overpriced because, you know, he's standing there all day on the top of this mountain.
Very cold weather, harsh environment.
Yeah, just standing. So Layla jumped out.
Let me have a look. Give me 2 seconds. I will have a look.
And Layla was standing next to the gentleman on my driver's side with the sheer drop. We were up into probably a couple of thousand feet by then. This maybe took about 10 minutes from start to finish, and Layla jumped back in the lorry and we started to drive away. At that time I noticed a serious pain in my left hand side, my left hip and my left leg. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I couldn't understand what that was, and a few miles down the road, I realised that I was actually pushing myself away from the window so much with my fear of the height that I'd actually virtually pushed myself over so much, straining to get away from that side. Because Layla walking close to the side, I don't care about anybody else, but the way this works, Layla, the children, and walks close to it, I panic. And that's what was happening. I was trying to keep myself away from that subconsciously. So that's where we were. We jumped back in there, and then we started the drive.
Can I also say something else? Just what I found really, really weird was that if at any point, I mean, we do try to buy some things, bits and bobs, and Mark gives shoes away to some locals or whatever, just because there is a harsher environment. I mean, and maybe big cities, there are places similar to Europe, but certainly in the high Atlas and places like that, they literally have very little to eat. You know, they are very, very poor. But I never felt from Kevin or Heike any empathy towards that. There was more just, I'll teach you a phrase, what to say to them so they stop hustling you. I must tell you, at no point ever I felt hustled in Morocco. I had very respectful people.
Opposite.
Exact opposite, yeah. And I found it, and that was another comment I found very strange. It's so derogatory. I just thought to myself, you are making money on the country, you're supposedly taking people through. You should have that respect for the locals.
We lost data the first day through whatever reason, and I said to Kevin on the first day, we need to like nip in and get some more data. And he turned around and the exact words were, well, everybody here pleads poverty and nobody's got any money, but they've all got phones, so it'll be no problem getting data on cards because everybody's got a phone. You know, and it was just like, you know, it was just, we found that odd. Anyway, that we can discuss that part of the trip.
No, it's not that much to discuss. It was just I just remembered because that was one of the guys who was standing there selling 3-4 carved out camels, where you referred to that place where we stopped.
Yeah.
And even at that point, honestly, I felt a little bit like Chris, I'm holding up this so-called tour.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, it's fine, go buy it. But it was with very much disapproval, rather than, you know, he should be promoting, he should be saying, yeah, buy something from these people, because it is a hard life for them. It is very hard,
absolutely,
you know.
Fully. We then carried on the road. We drove through some villages.
Judge for yourself for the height.
Judge for yourself for the height.
Became more apparent.
Yeah, for the wires. And every time.
Some of them were hanging very low, I must say.
Yeah, which we did. You know, this is our truck. It's our responsibility. So Kevin can't be responsible, and the Heike can't be responsible for every wire going across the road.
Absolutely,
So
but let's discuss later the extent and the responsibility.
Yeah. Of what is where we are going.
That's right.
But that comes more apart than what I'm about to say now. Yeah. So just on the tail end of the village, leaving the village, there is a concrete bridge, and unknown to Kevin, my truck's actually bigger than his. So he'd got on the radio and said, oh, there's a bridge coming, there's no side, it's just a concrete slab. Judge for yourself if you can get over it. Now we've been driving at this point for about 4 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And if we couldn't get across this bridge,
I did actually ask Mark, what are our
what do we
options?
do?
Yeah.
So Kevin had got out of the car and then looked and gave no indication whether I was on the bridge or not, which I found strange, because in all these kind of scenarios, when you have a section to do, somebody will, usually the tour guide and the experienced person will give you
the one who's taken the money and one who's told you, I'm going to take you
and
around.
who's taking you there
in
the truck, knowing full well where we are, would give you a guide over the bridge, at least making sure that you can, you know, left
You're
hand
aligned
down, right, your line, and
Yeah.
you come over, and that's it. Jump in the vehicle and leave. There was none of that. Again, we'll go back down to that gut feeling and whatever else. By that time, I was beginning to think, this is not good.
Yeah,
This
it was
isn't
definitely, it felt that he's shying away from any form of
good. Responsibility.
anything. Yeah, it was me and Mark.
Yeah. He took the money and he was trying to get away from us.
He did, yeah.
Even to the fact where he only stayed with the other vehicle. They put their awnings up till they touched each other, got their seating out, cooked their food together,
It was very
went to
uncomfortable.
bed together, and we were at the other side of the campsite, and they wanted virtually nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange as well, because I think as a tour guide, you should be impartial and being involving everybody. And later on, just quickly touching on this, later on the two young lads joined us, the ones whose car got broken down. Then they hired the car, which I think was foolish, to come to join this so-called tour because they couldn't find any other time and they didn't offer them any refunds. So they obviously had to come to this, join the trip halfway through. And even they were kind of pushed aside. They were staying on across in a bit with their tent. I know they had a tent, but still it was just, I honestly, I
It's
assure
very
you,
fragmented.
yeah, you wouldn't feel good, you know, you would not feel as, there is no group, and he should not take group because he cannot manage group. He has to,
He's there to drive. Fundamentally, he's there he's there for 6 months. He's not a guide of
No.
any sort. He goes there to live.
Yeah.
And to pay for him to live on the cheap over there and
Yeah.
disrespect everybody, he has people follow him about.
Yeah.
But he did. This is what we want to discuss in
Yeah.
this video: what his responsibility is. But we'll get on to that. The long and the short.
yeah,
of
sorry,
it
we
is,
are jumping back and forward. It's just I don't want to forget things, and we can go back to it.
we want to make this
But-
as true an experience
exactly.
discussion as
Absolutely.
possible.
We don't have any script or anything, and that's why maybe it's a bit messy the way we speak. But every single piece of this we're saying, they are important pieces, and this is not about being bitchy. It's about your hard-earned
because I'm
money.
taking this the responsibility myself on
Absolutely.
this.
And when you take your hard-earned money and to give to somebody, and that person is shying away from every piece of responsibility,
homework.
please do your homework, because it's way too dangerous. Mark will get to that point. It is way too dangerous, you know, but it is important for you all to hear, the ones who are interested. And if you don't resonate and you don't think it's relevant, switch it off.
Crack on, you've got a Land Rover
Yeah.
or whatever you want to hug
You
the
will be
sides
fine
and do
with
things.
the-
Yes,
with the Land
exactly.
Rover.
This is not
But-
for Land Rovers and off-road
No.
vehicles and
It
things
is more
like
for
that.
the trucks. However, even talking about Land Rovers, with the children, I would steer clear as well, because
Of
you
them.
will see nothing.
Of
yeah,
the- yeah,
of
of
them,
them.
of course.
Anyway, I mean, what then happened was we got over the bridge and we,
Or based on mine and your judgment.
based on your judgment
Yeah.
more than anything else, and then we carried on. We then carried up the road.
I'm actually on the right road.
Oh yeah, you are. There was no any other way.
It's a very, very good dynamic. Very good. Then they should give us full maps. Certainly don't want to lose this if I fuck off and leave it.
We stopped, and I remember looking at them, and I looked back, and Kevin was out, and the car in front was out, and had been instructed to start lowering their tyre pressures.
And we did, obviously, nobody communicates with
Nobody's
us. You know,
talked to us.
this
We were
is-
sitting in the same line, right behind
Yeah.
them. And I thought, that's strange. Right, I'll go out.
It really honestly felt, sorry, but it really felt like we're not there. It was just so dismissive.
Very, very. I think, as I say, I think it was I'm out in my depth. Just put my hands over my ears and shut my eyes.
Absolutely, that became very apparent.
And that was what it was.
Yeah.
So what happened then was I got out the truck and I went to Kevin and said, Kevin, why are you lowering your tyre pressures? Because I'm under the impression now we've got, you know,
these planes to come.
So that's we'll put that back in there. So I said to Kevin, what's going on here? Why are you lowering your tyre pressures? Is it a traction thing or is it a comfort thing? Oh, it's definitely a comfort thing. It's a comfort thing. We've got leaf springs. You'll be okay in the lorry. It's the off-road section, and we just want to be more comfortable. So I said to him again, I said, right, okay, so what's to come? What's this part here that we're about to do? And he said, the road widens into a big gravel road and it just goes up and into the plains. I said, fine.
So this is the second time.
Second
now.
time you said that, and on the same
And
day.
remember, we are following somebody who
He's guiding us.
supposedly knows.
He's guiding us.
He's
And
taking us
And
there.
even though we had some gut feelings and things, it was like, you know, it's calm down, just stop being so silly. You know, he knows what he's doing. It's just that's it. So we start heading up.
Yeah, we'll get up there and it'll be fine. No, it's a dark road, but it's wide. It's, you know, it's fine for the truck. I have to watch this bridge, and I have to, oh, you'll crash at the top, watch the wires.
We start to climb higher and higher and higher again because we're down pretty
yeah.
much the basin kind of thing. So we're going higher.
And
higher
I must
higher.
say, I'm gonna put some footage in, but the road it's a gravel road. It's not a road of
No,
any
we're
form
off-road
of-
at this
we
point.
are
We're on a
off-road,
piste.
yeah.
So we get to a T junction. The one T junction goes up very steeply to the right and round a corner, and the other one heads down sort of straight and goes in between the
And
mountains.
I want to emphasize the fact that at that point we have lost the eye contact.
Everybody's gone.
We do not know actually. And I did insist the mark one was going down and one was going up. I will try to find a photo. Maybe I can stick that in as we are
If not, I'll put it on Google Maps and show you where we're
Yeah,
at.
absolutely. And I did say to Mark, stop, because I didn't want us to go up the mountainside because we didn't know where they were. And Mark radioed. Of course,
So,
Kevin's radio doesn't work.
I radioed, and as you said, Kevin was either not what, but Kevin had bolted. He was off ski and gone. So thankfully, the other car in the group had his CB working, and he managed to answer. And I said, "Look, we're at a T junction now on the side of a hill. Do we go left down or do we go right up?" And his reply was, "Up, up, up, go up." To which
At that point, I knew
it was
and
all
it's
going wrong
bad
at that
news,
point,
yeah.
because we're now on a gravel track that had been raining the day before and things
Yeah.
like that, and the up, it went straight into my heart
did mine as well.
because we knew we're not going into any plains.
No.
We were going up. So I took it as read. There was nothing I could do at that point. We're now
No.
on a gravel track. There was no way to turn. The
And
children in the back playing. I've just got
Yeah.
to carry on.
And I want to mention we did meet a motorcycler who was coming down the way, and he was I think Swiss or something, similar nationality, and he was saying, "Where are you going with the truck?" And he said, "We're going to go up." And the guy did not assured us. I didn't feel that he was like, "Yeah, that's the thing
He
to
shook
do."
his head at that point and said, "Is this your company? Do you do this all the time?" And we said, "No, we're just following the guide." And he basically just looked and aghast and shook his head.
He wasn't entirely sure that's the right thing to do.
And
Neither
yeah,
did we. But
No, but on that, as he left, that was the first real sinking feeling that something was bad was going to happen, because we knew, oh no, this is not planes, this is not.
You know,
what
we're
Kevin
not
had said.
absolutely. We're not stupid. We're both rational, intelligent people, and by just looking at the road, assessing the road conditions. I'm a driver. You're a driver. Okay, don't drive trucks, but I could tell that road is not.
And we could tell you were going up through the mountains. There was no plains. There was
No.
nothing. This was a mountain pass.
Absolutely, 100%, and with the sheer drop of what was going up to. I can't remember how many kilometers. It
was up about 4,000 or 5,000
yeah,
feet. We'll show you.
well enough drop to not come out of it alive.
Oh, there was
And
no.
you know what? There was
was-
another thing I just wanted to say as well. This was his first tour after the COVID and 2 years being away. So this is the first time even selecting this route and going up. He was absolutely unaware if the route is even not suitable, but also is it not washed off, the sides or something. He didn't even know nothing, because I remember when we were driving the day before, he kept saying, "Oh Christ, that road is no tarmac. Oh Christ, this road is changed." So even that fueled my anxiety, and I thought, Christ, he doesn't even know, which I suppose is fine, but the road doesn't change overnight. So you haven't been here 2 years because you were in Mali or somewhere else.
And he did say he was going to be there the week before, and he's going to be chilling out and going about doing things, and he'll meet us there when he comes sliding in sideways after
yeah,
us.
absolutely.
But
But what I'm just saying to you is that even I am 100% sure even he driving up there weren't sure
oh,
that
absolutely.
he can actually get through this.
Absolutely, but that's why he'd left. So this is where we come to the crux of the matter, and this is where things become really, really bad. We took the right and we started driving up, and within a mile of these tracks, which I was handling fine, the truck was handling fine, we came to a set of hairpins. The first hairpin was going into the right. It was relatively well
I think you should also put
radius.
a map and then.
Yeah, I'll show a map as well. It was well enough radiused. I managed to get round that because my face is on the hillside. We went round and came back. We drove up. The next one was obviously a sheer drop. There was no room to be made.
No mistake.
The hairpins themselves were marginally bigger than my wheelbase, but not much. And it was very tight going back up to my left, and obviously that was just a sheer drop into oblivion. I then went as close to the side as I would. Remember, I'm a 10-ton truck. This was our third day. Fuel was full, water was full, first time off-road. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? And I made the turn to the left to get up. The truck had no chance of getting round in a oneer.
Just too tight.
Just too tight. So I had to stop basically at the rock face.
Mid.
At
Swing.
that, I looked to my left, and Kevin was further up the track. And Layla had said, he's got his hands on his head. What's he doing?
I just thought he's doing like this.
And I
because-
looked and I said, no, Kevin's videoing. So he does have a video of this. But that time I was stuck. And I mean stuck as in I now could not go to my left because it's a truck, so you can't go like that. So you had to start reversing. When it stopped, I waited. So much so that the other couple later on that day had said that they were waiting for us and they wondered why we'd stopped, because we couldn't get round. They don't understand trucks, neither does Kevin. They've never driven one. So we couldn't get round. And I was waiting, stupidly, for assistance. I was waiting
From the so-called tour
for
guide.
the tour guide to come down after his video and guide me back. And one of the most harrowing points of this was I was trying to assess where I was, what I was doing, trying to get my nerves down, trying to get myself into a position that I could carry on and know what I was doing and keep everybody safe. And I looked back and they were hightailing it. They jumped in the car and he was going. He was first, remember, so the other car was second. Kevin had jumped in his trooper and he was off. He was going. He realised there was a problem. He realised we were struggling, and instead of staying to reverse out, help me, guide me back, whatever, he left. He left us in it. So at this point, I'm now in a very precarious position.
So we no longer see them. They're gone.
They've gone.
Yeah.
So now we're in a very precarious position, and it's me and Layla's not in a position, training-wise or other, to be able to guide me around anything. She doesn't know anything at all.
I think also a standard person would struggle.
Nobody would, and I probably
It's-
would. You would need somebody that was supposedly a guide, a trained person. Anyway, long story short, I put it into low box. I hadn't engaged four-wheel drive at the time. To be honest, I was in such a state at that time. I thought I'd engaged four-wheel drive going into diff lock, but I hadn't. And I reversed back. I then moved forward, reversed back, moved forward, got around that hairpin, travelled, and then we had a right-hand hairpin. That's exactly the same, but it wasn't as bad for me because I wasn't looking over the edge or looking in my mirrors over the edge. And I felt if I'd made a mistake, we were coming down safely, albeit the truck would be written off or whatever, but nobody... The truck is a full FIA roll cage. I have a roll cage on the outside. I've made it so that no matter what, we're as safe as humanly possible inside that cab for my children and my family. So I then took the right-hander, and then before long, another 100 metres or so, we went into another left-hander, and then we came back up on top. We drove along the top with the full view of where we were, and it was the drop right off the high Atlas to hundreds, thousands and thousands of feet. And then I was travelling along, and obviously it was a steep drop to my right. I was keeping myself more and more to the left, but the road was quite wide. It looked like they'd had a leveller through it or something not that long before. So I turned that corner that you've seen at the beginning of the video here, where we started from. And if you had a look at the video, if you go back and have a look at the video, you'll see the road actually turns and then cuts back up again. Well, I'd just seen the white troopy, the other car, coming up there and turning on a hairpin and going back. And that's where I realised
there are no planes.
There's no planes. I've been lied to. I am now. So I got on the radio, as you've seen. Unfortunately, we stopped the footage. We weren't meant to have that footage as such.
Well, because we were filming just to basically have a
experience.
footage. I never expected at any point that this would be
The end of it.
the end. And,
So
yeah.
at that point, as you've seen, I pulled my radio and said that I can't carry on. I'm not going up there. As well as I had no faith or trust in Kevin whatsoever. He would take
And
us into
quite
anything
rightfully,
and he would leave us.
And quite rightfully, because when we
Got back.
and reassessed everything, we were near the truck, you pulled out the map, and we'll put a screenshot on that as well.
And there was as many
It's
hairpins to
horrific,
come.
absolutely horrific.
Yeah, so it was just
You
as
could have never made it.
No, it was just as bad to come. So I pulled the stop there. Again, Kevin by this time had seen we were in trouble at the hairpins and he was gone. He wasn't in that section, he was away. He was away as far as he could. So again, the other car that was there was obviously stopping, taking photographs and things, and they managed, and their CB works, they managed to hear us. So they said they would go on to try and find Kevin and let him know that we're not carrying on. But this time, remember, the anxiety from the morning, not sleeping too well, and then standing on the road. You've got to remember that my two children are in the back playing, this is my responsibility, and they're playing Play-Dohs and things, and they think everything is absolutely fine, and I know that I can't drive this section. I know I'm freezing, I know I'm absolutely terrified, with no assistance, and I've been abandoned there.
And I have to add as well that you have a phobia and you are freezing and you are terrified, but I assure a standard driver would also feel the same. It was horrific. I don't have any
This is a
phobia of
10-ton
that.
truck.
It's a 10-ton truck and it's two kids at the back, and it was horrific. It was also horrific. I am not scared of heights, but for me, it was the situation, the predicament we were in was incredibly uncomfortable.
So I was then left with the prospect of what to do after that video. I then got a CB call back that wasn't on that video from Kevin, and I said to him, I can't carry on, I'm not doing this, this is ridiculous. And he said to me, oh, I'm really sorry you're not enjoying it. And I'm like, what part of this are we not enjoying? I've got a phobia. There was never any part of this I was ever going to enjoy. This is exact what I said I didn't want to do. Kevin had turned round someplace a long time away and come back at ages when we decided to come back, and stopped and got out of the car and came over, and I said, there's no way I'm carrying on, I have to go back.
It was really, it was really, really bad, because instead of, you just knew you are on your own, we are on our own, because the
Kevin
way he
at
was...
that point had said that, basically, go back. You just have to go back. He actually said to me on the CB, you'll be okay, give it a go, you'll be really proud of yourself if you do it. It is beyond retarded. These things don't work. He's not qualified for any kind of mental help, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't even get you up a hillside, never mind qualified in anything.
And he was not sure even if you could make up that. That's the
no,
thing.
that's why he left.
But
and I think what my realisation there was that if something had happened and we had went over the edge, or I'd made a mistake, or something had happened to the lorry, which was possible, he could have easily turned round at that point and said, I don't know, I wasn't with Mark. Mark was behind, I don't know what he did wrong, and that's why they all ended up at the bottom of the cliff in a burning mess and all my family is dead. Because he could then say, I wasn't with him at that point. I said at the time that I was going to reverse back and get out of there. Now, for me, this was the worst decision that I could possibly ever make, because I was then going to have to face the same hairpins, gravel ones, with the serious drop, with no barriers, nothing, but as I said before, going now face first back down. But I didn't know what was to come. Kevin wouldn't tell us. Kevin was a liar. Kevin would not indicate to me what was up there. These were planes, remember, so I could only imagine that what was to come was worse.
And it was, as I already mentioned, when you checked out on the map, it was seriously like a drunk person with a crane. It was ridiculous, that was not a good place to be. But I also felt from him when he did come down that he was in dismissive tone and in dismissive thought or whatever it was with him, but he wasn't taking the situation by the horns and
He was
tried
clueless.
to make. He really was, and at that
utterly
point,
clueless.
it was horrific feeling because it was
Heike
like, oh my
didn't
God.
even get out of her car.
I felt so lonely. Mark was going down to have a look at where we could turn. I mean, I'll show you. It was horrific, even how to reverse back and where to turn and things like that. And I stood there and Heike was sitting in the car. You know, you don't go on trips where you are going to be abandoned. It was a horrible feeling. It was not just the truck and
No support,
husband
nothing.
and the kids. It was like, how did we end up in this position?
And they were under the impression, as we've discussed, because he was out his depth with the truck, and I do strongly believe he thinks something was going to happen, that he had said to me, oh, I could try and come back down with you, I could follow you down, or you can just go back yourself. I'll need to carry on with the one truck that had that was a troopy that they slept inside. There was not even a roof tent on the roof. There was nothing, you know, that anybody can do. It's like walking.
Yeah.
But he took the decision to go forward, to abandon the truck on the hillside with the hairpins in favour of going forward with the troopy. So that's the kind of man and lady Kevin and Heike are. That's what they will do. They will leave you abandoned on a hillside, on a cliff, with a phobia, all knowing, and they will leave you. They will go.
Yeah, they will not give you any assistance.
And to be honest, at that point, I was relieved to get him away from me, because he doesn't even know his left from his right. He was more of a hindrance. I knew if I was going to do this, I had to do this myself, because Kevin was worse than useless. He would put me over the edge.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of footage where he's actually telling me to turn, and my front wheel of the truck is going over there. I stopped myself, wound my window down. Layla was actually screaming not to turn. This one we're trying
it was
to
way too premature for the turn.
To
And I
go
just thought to
over.
myself, Kevin, what are you telling her?
He doesn't even know his left from right. He doesn't even know how to reverse a vehicle. So at that point, I was
Which came apparent later on.
I just left it all together, made the reverse section myself, thankfully Layla left the vehicle, took the children out, and they went and looked at some rocks, and they were quite happy. That let me make the reverse, and I got ourselves turned round. We then jumped back in the vehicle. Kevin and Heike took about 10 minutes to try and do the same reverse.
Yeah.
So basically here we are. I just wanted to do a small update for you. I'll show you around, but to be honest, it kind of turned a bit dramatic. This is the current view I see. These are my kids, my husband, and the truck. The truck is still okay, so fine, but I'll show you later. But it was really there's hairpins and sheer drops throughout. I mean, this is absolutely serious. It's not like
This
I
is
wouldn't
Land
play
Rover.
it down.
No.
This is a Land Rover territory. This is not truck
If
territory.
you turn it round, you can see them
And-
try to turn there. That's them trying to turn on the road.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the guide of ours. We should now just help Mark to reverse. I'll try to put the footage, show you in the film, but to be honest, look, he's struggling. I really can't
And this
make
is the
it
main
out.
road that you meant
It's
to
the main
turn
road, yeah.
truck down.
It's
You know,
never
we
going
don't
to
have much
happen, no.
experience in it.
And not only that, I mean, the guy that came down with his wife, he said it's high and tight, you know.
Well, we met
So
the boy in the motorbike, and he was like, well, the truck can get him out. I can't. At the end of the day, if I make a mistake, it's my responsibility. If I make a mistake and freeze or do something silly,
yeah,
there's no going back. There's no
No,
slight
no.
accidents here. There's
This
no
is-
shunts.
yeah.
You're
you're down, and as you can see, I mean, this is actually pretty shallow. What you
that's
see
happens.
here,
It drops off as a cliff.
absolutely.
That's a little river, and it just drops off down there about
Yeah,
300
yeah,
feet.
and it's straight down.
And it's hairpins, and it's off camber,
and
it's
there's
just,
no any what we say that the any protection. Not that it would protect you in any form or shape, but not even as a guide. There is no any road markings. There is no. It's just really not a
at the end of the
road,
day-
you
at the
know.
end of
So
the day, it's off road. It doesn't matter.
And
If
here
you
they
had a
go,
Land
they go
Rover,
away.
if I can do this, I can't walk this.
listen, Mark, you did very well. You know, I mean,
can
I
walk.
actually want to see where they're going up there. I'm just gonna go a wee bit closer. Mark reversed down all that section, down, and you see they're still driving. That wasn't there. He didn't stop there. We went right round the corner, more round. You couldn't see the truck, and Mark reversed all that section, right back down. You see. So yeah, I mean, it was a moment of terror for us all actually, and I don't enjoy it, Mark, either. You know, I've got so
Kevin's
much.
giving me signals back to front,
But to be honest, I think he was flapping as well.
but he was
going like that, and I was turning the steering wheel that way, but I was bringing my back end out the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, the other way, so he
Yeah.
wasn't taking into consideration the mirror.
No, and then yeah, it was horrific. You know, this is really
But we're
beautiful, but
still- Okay, so this is the Google Maps, as we said. This is the road that we travelled up here, the 704, and we stopped at this area here. You can see the fork in the road, one going down the way, that way, and one heading up the way. Because we have it on Google Maps highlighted on the 704, it looks a lot bigger. That's the size of the road there, the little grey one. They're both the same. So we stopped here, we didn't know where we were going, so we radioed. Thankfully, the other member of the team who was with us said...
Another customer.
Another customer, yeah, said he had working equipment though, said go up, up, up. This was the road here, you can see it travelling up. It's not the easiest thing to get a feel for being on a computer screen, but if I flick it back and forward from 2D to 3D, I can explain there that you can see here it's a sheer drop off here then down to here to the bottom. This one here's a sheer drop this way to the bottom, and here's just a sheer drop straight down. That's trees at the bottom of the ravine, that's the very bottom there, and that's about 6,000 or 7,000 feet. So we were travelling up here, we got to the first corner, and then we were coming up here, we seen the road on my left hand side. You could virtually touch it as you drove up here, and we knew that we weren't going to make this, but we had to try, we had to get round. So I took it as far as I possibly could. Remember, it's a 10-ton truck, this is a gravel road, it had been raining, we were not sure of the condition of the sides of the road here, and then we're straight over the edge. So we drove around here and we turned as sharp as we could, and we ended up with our truck face sitting here, back across this way.
And we're full with fuel, we're full with water.
As heavy as we could be, as heavy as we could be. So we're a full 10-ton here, and we're sitting directly across this hairpin like this. As we said, or Layla said, up about this area here, Kevin was taking a video of us.
He can share it if he wishes so.
Yeah, I can imagine. So he's standing here filming us, and as soon as he realised that we weren't travelling round the corner because we couldn't, we'd stopped, I foolishly was waiting there for Kevin to come round to me to start having a discussion about...
Or having a guidance.
to guide me back, because again, if I went too close to the side, we're not talking going to the edge of the road here, this was a wet gravel track. If I went within 2 feet, if I started to slide or the road started to give way, there was somebody there to guide me. Kevin seen this, seen the predicament we were in, seen we were trapped, we couldn't move, got straight back in his car and immediately left as quick as he could. He was out of there, he bailed, that's all there was to it. He bailed and left us, me and the children and my wife. And that's the end of that, that was him, he'd gone. So obviously the other couple left and went with him. So at that point, we then had to start reversing back slowly, tiny increments, all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, until such times as I got myself around enough I could sort of jump over this little corner and start making our way around here. This hairpin obviously wasn't, as we said, wasn't quite as tight, but we still got trapped on this one. I could back up along here a little bit easier. These are still incredibly steep ravines. This is, you know, the hairpin's going up the hill like that. This is a cliff face. But because it was going this way and it was slightly more open, it wasn't quite as challenging. Once we came down here and got to this one was possibly the worst. This one and this one. Because again, we came round here, I took it as best as I possibly could to get round here. And again, we got jammed.
We were touching the cliffside.
We were touching the cliffside on this one. And again, when you turn it like this, you can see there is no stopping from there all the way down to the bottom here. There's just a burning mess down there. So again, we did exactly the same. There was no help, they were gone. So we managed to go back and forward, 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 until we managed to get ourselves round again. And we just took it inch by inch by inch so we wouldn't fall off. And again, we travelled up to the next one. This one was a worse one for getting round, but again, it was an easier one because we weren't falling anywhere on this one as such. The way it was, we'd sort of hit the rock face and sort of come back and forth, till we got ourselves out. We then travelled down the road, and this was a very, very precarious corner here as well. And this was a straight drop all the way down the full amount. Once we got round here and onto this section of the road, it really opened up. As you can see on the videos, it was like almost a 2-lane here. It looked, as we said, it looked like there'd been a scraper or something had came along the top here. So I travelled along here, and we kept on going, came around this corner here, and got to about here. And once I got to about here, that's where I made the call that you've seen at the very start, where I said, Kevin, we can't do this anymore. I took that decision there because ahead of us, because it had taken us so long to get up this section, I believe
that the planes will be nowhere in sight anytime soon.
Exactly, there's no planes, but the other couple must have been taking videos and photographs because it was very dramatic. I mean, this is sheer cliffs all the way down, you know.
They can share as well.
Absolutely, a very, very dramatic look. And I actually seen, when we came round this corner here, I seen their car just coming round this hairpin. And again, if I go 2D, 3D, you can see there's, you either fall off this way down,
Yep.
or you fall off this way down. And that there is just sheer on both sides. Seeing that and realising there was no planes, there was no place I would go, and we'd been very badly lied to, and we'd been abandoned at that point, and there was no help, I then called to say, after I'd seen this chap moving away, that we were going to stop. And it's just as well we did, because that decision that I took saved our family. To stop there and have the common sense to realise something was incredibly wrong and we were going to get no help, and this is why I'll show you for why.
Yeah.
There is what was to come. That's me stopped here. That's where I seen the other couple going round, and then hairpin after hairpin after hairpin after hairpin after hairpin we had to face. We would not have made that. We could not have got round. These hairpins were actually worse. So if you have a look here, and I'll bring back there, you can see quite clearly these are straight down into the ravine below 6,000 feet.
You would never
Straight
make even that.
Never got round
No.
there with no assistance. Never. Never, and that's off the other side, so that's 4,000
So
feet.
we are basically now kind of on a
Running along the top of
Yeah,
top of the hill. That's the top of the hill there. That is
that's
cliffs. That is cliffs, and you're running back for a hairpin after hair. And this is what Kevin said. You know,
and
it's
he did.
it's a plains, and away you go. You can see here, drop straight into there, drop straight into there, drop straight into there. It just goes on and on. The plains are maybe, I don't know, over here someplace. I don't know. But
We wouldn't make it to the planes
We would never
wherever
made
they
that.
are, you know.
we would never have made that. So thankfully we made the right decision to stop there. I then made that radio call that you've seen, and again the other gentleman, he picked up the message, and as he travelled along and caught up with the escaping Kevin and Heike, he told them that we were not carrying on anymore due to safety grounds. That was it, we'd stopped. So I was then coming back, walking my route and finding out where I was going to do and how I was going to do that. Our truck was sitting here. We were sitting about here. And then Kevin and Heike came back and they said to us at that time, as I said, they will carry on this road, obviously, with the 50-year-olds in their troopy, that the Lions
That are
Snake.
so much less risk.
Absolutely, they can stick to the side and go along and whatever else. They don't have two children and
Yeah, but the thing is that
phobias and whatever else.
we wouldn't be there either. You know, he brought us there.
he guided
he
us here,
guided us
knowing,
here, yeah.
knowing that we had the 10-ton truck, knowing that we had phobias, knowing that I didn't want to do any roads like Tizzy and Twist, etc. But it's more than obvious he was well out his depth. He's seen that we
yeah.
were in trouble and he left. And I'm absolutely 100% convinced in this that he left because if something did go wrong, he wasn't with us. And he pretty much was convinced that we could not do this and we would not be able to do this. So he left us.
Yeah.
He left us to go over. And that is what I strongly believe. Anyway, I was sitting here, so I then, as Layla pointed out, started reversing back here. Kevin was swinging his hands about here aimlessly all over the place, almost put me off the edge here, to which I just said, get out of my way. I then took it into one hand, reversed back here, went straight up this banking, and then drove back down here to about this 704 sign. You see that Layla also standing here speaking, the kids are playing about here, and then you see Kevin and Heike trying to reverse
20
their
minutes.
troopy round there, and they couldn't even do that.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was
the
another
guide.
all-time low for me because I realized that they are pretty hopeless.
They're
actually.
utterly useless. This is fundamentally dangerous, and they abandoned us with the children to get out of there as quick as they could. That was it, they were off, they were gone, we were left on our own up there.
Which took us up 12 hours in total to get to this, try to get to this campsite.
So Kevin had left, so I was then faced with coming back down the same hairpins with Layla and the children, and I'm going to cut most of this bit out, and I got to the second last or the first real hairpin that we discussed, and I came down face down, and I knew I couldn't turn. We'd already been up this, I could not turn.
This is the one that he got stuck on the way.
Yeah, so now the truck is facing downhill and the hairpin is coming this way. I'm on the edge here. That's the sheer precipice drop over thousands of feet. And my hands were obviously sweating. I was in terror. That's the only way I could say it. It's utter terror. I was holding back, trying to be sick. The kids were still playing in the back. My mind was racing. I was screaming in my side myself for Layla and the children to get out. Layla was shouting back at me virtually in my head, I don't know if she was or not, that she wasn't going to go anywhere. She was going to stay. There was no way I could get around here myself. I needed assistance. But I had visions of my children like a washing machine going down this hill, and I'd put them there. This was my fault. And I don't know what happened. We were sitting in the truck, and I said to Layla, it was more than apparent that her strength was more than mine. And I'd said to her, watch my front wheel. We were sliding. Watch my front wheel. I'm going to see if I can edge forward. I've got no overhang like we do in the back coming up. It's front wheel and over. And I don't know how. I was sitting, my hands were quite sweating with terror, and my shoulders were aching, pulling the steering wheel. And I said again to Layla to get out, just get out with the children, because I thought if the truck was to go, there's a possibility I would get myself out the window, or I would throw myself out and let it go. But at least...
I just want to stop Mark you here. I mean, we went on a recreational trip. I mean, This conversation is real. This is exactly what happened. How did we end up in this position? I still to this day.
Well, my brain is screaming to myself, I got myself into this. I am now endangering my wife and my children. And that was the case. There was nobody else got there except myself. And for whatever reason, from above or wherever, I don't know, the steering wheel just turned 3 inches, that's all it was, and gave me just a little bit more so I could get the first edge round the hairpin. And the boulders and the rocks were on this side here, so I couldn't get right round, but it gave me enough to straighten and go back, because I had that little, I wasn't right at the edge. And that gave me enough again, just to get another 2-3 inches and start to edge our way round the hairpin from the sheer drop. After that, we got round the one, as I explained before, was slightly less, but I was then facing over where that Y junction was down there. Hundreds, we would be dead, but it wasn't. My phobia hadn't kicked in. I wasn't scared at that point.
However, the whole road down.
By that time, I was destroyed.
Yeah,
My nerves.
It was going down. Every bit was still a challenge.
It was deadly. The whole road was deadly.
Yeah.
It wasn't
a
quite as deadly.
Yeah, but they all make you dead.
The one that I talked about there, the 2-3 corners I talked in that hairpin section, were touch and go. It really was 80%. You're not going to make this.
This would have been fine, as I said before, as we both said, if you had a Land Rover, a 110, a 9A, a Troopy, not a 10-ton truck. And as we said in the video, this is the exact road here that Live and Give 4x4 were travelling on about a week later than us. And they, fortunately for them, had a spotter with them. They had another car with them. And they went ahead and they came back and picked up Fabian and took him to see the road and a few broken down areas and things of the bad weather. And Fabian took the decision, quite rightfully, to not risk his family and to come off that road, turn round and come back. But unfortunately, we didn't have anybody as trustworthy as what Fabian had.
Despite us paying somebody
Exactly.
for the so-called expertise.
Exactly, we didn't have anybody trustworthy. They lied to get us there and then they left us.
And then we got back down onto the level pegging bit. We drove, we went back to the same campsite, we went through over the little bridge, down all into the same campsite, and I said to Layla, we have to stop here because I knew now that the same section with the tar was
Well, I
coming.
also wanted to stop with the kids because actually kids did.
It was been such a long
It
time,
was-
but we were such a long
It's a
time.
crazy time, so we had to stop. We had to just.
We left
calm
at
down.
9, and this was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon because we
Yeah.
got a text at that point that we can show you on a screenshot from Kevin and Heike, letting us know, not how we were, letting us know that they were in the campsite. Okay?
Yeah.
They'd made it to their campsite.
And I
so
do
they were
honestly-
set up with their awnings touching their seats out.
Yeah, and I do believe that they chose that road because it was saving their fuel.
Absolutely.
And quickly
Cheaper,
getting through
easier.
to Tingray because that
Yeah,
was the next
nothing to
spot
do
we
with
were
us.
going.
He's backstabbing, you lied and said it opens out, it does this, that, the next thing. It does not. It's hairpins over the worst section we've ever been on.
Yeah.
That's a lie, a backstab.
Small update on the situation. So that's the truck there, and we are back in the same place where we took off this morning with amazing views.
Yeah, went round in a big circle.
It's really nice here. So I said to Mark that I love the place. So look at it.
Just
Look at it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, we're back.
There's a magic room as well.
A magic room as well. Yeah, barber room. So yeah, it's nice. Look at this. Just zoom in a wee bit. Is that not beautiful? You got to come back. You just can't.
Yeah, Mommy likes to see her room off nicely.
That's right.
And it was really sad because Mark can go through obviously the bit with the windy road again. That was a tarmac road, which is the road we came up with the photos. But when they were given the location of the next campsite, they paid for us, which we paid as well because we paid for the trip. And but we were miles away, absolute miles away. So by the time we got arrived at Tingray, it was so late that it was pitch black.
And remember, we'd been driving since 9 in the morning. That was 2 o'clock that we got the text from them.
8:30 actually.
Yeah,
Correct,
and then we had to then carry on and go all the way back and then all the way through. So we were very, very late. The children hadn't eaten. The children were like really grumpy and crying and things like that. And obviously I was in tatters.
Yeah.
And then we were trying...
We had 7 kilometers away when we arrived in Tingray and tried to make it, but it was pitch black by then. It was very late. It was 7 kilometers away, so thanks to
No,
Kevin.
it was only 4 at that point because
4.
we drove through.
Oh, that's right.
And what had happened was we'd followed our sat nav because we did manage to get the position of it from Heike. In fact, we'll show that they actually sent us where they are with a photograph, just to rub that in. And we took off, and I never thought anymore. My brain was so fried with the day's drive and what I'd put everybody through that I wasn't concentrating, I wasn't thinking well. And we started to make our way up this black winding road.
The thing is that I also wanted to say to you is that the first alarm bell ringing was called Tundra Road, and in Tingray you got 100 Gorge. And I said to Mark that the road
Could be the same again.
could be the gorge, they went through, before they arrived at this campsite, because most of the campsites were up that hill.
Yeah.
But remember, this is the same day, and we are, as Mark says, 4 kilometers away, and
We're exhausted, so I come
And I did
round
look
this
up,
corner, and
yeah.
it just clicked what Layla had said to me, and we were heading up this quite a steep incline, coming out to do a
very
couple
steep,
of
yeah.
a right and a left, and I had no idea again where I was going. The typical tours of Kevin's. And I stopped on the road, put my hazards on, and I was like, oh wait a minute, if we have to start going down a gorge road now in the dark,
Which really smelled of Kevin's irresponsible
it was like,
decision.
I can't do this, I can't do this. And thankfully, of what he's scared of is what, again, was the saviour, a group of Moroccans in a pickup came along, young men, and they stopped because I had my hazard lights on, and they said to me, is the truck okay, what's wrong? And they could see the children, they could see my wife, and I was like, no, I'm waiting because we've sent a text, we don't know where this. Kevin then texts back to say, we'll just show you the screenshot, but just stay down in the city. This is 8 o'clock at night, the children are screaming, there's no campsites, it's dark, just stay. So what it could have taken is all for the man to be a man, was to get in his truck, come down, see where we are 4 kilometres away, and lead us in to where the campsite was. That's all the man needed to do to be a man, to be a guide.
Be a tour guide.
To be a guide,
what
to do what he's paid for.
Yeah.
But no, his awnings would be touching, his little seats would be out, and he would just be sitting gassing with the other troopie, and that would be a tell him Mauritania, over and over, and he doesn't stop. Smoking roll-ups and talking is all Kevin does. He just does not stop.
Unfortunately, very little doing.
He doesn't do anything, he just talks about himself.
Yeah.
So that's obviously what he was involved in, that's what he was interested in. So
we were abandoned.
We were abandoned again with the children on the same day.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh God. So thankfully the Moroccan chap said there's a lay-by further back, big stones, and they all ran out, they all started moving the stones, they guided me back, they put me into the lay-by, which was a sheer drop at the other side. They got me out, they put all the stones, never expected a thing. This is Moroccan hospitality, this is what Kevin and that are scared of. And I made my way back down into the city. We drove about for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to say in Tingray, if you ever end up in Tingray, on the lower level, there are no campsites. They used to have one there, but due to COVID it's been closed, so there aren't any. So you need to make your way there early, so you can climb up, and there is plenty at the top. There is 4, 5 or 6, but don't leave you late, because we did due to unforeseen circumstances, and we had nowhere to stay actually.
Yeah. So we pulled into a garage.
So if I ever get around to make a film, I just wanted to make this small footage. I will show you where we're staying for tonight, but after obviously turning around and coming back, going all the way back down the gorge and all the other things, Mark facing his fears. 1 minute of it. And we were meant to go to this campsite, which is up to the WANDERTRUCK Forge, but obviously by the time we arrived at, what's it called, the place, Tigrat, it was late, it was pitch black, so we couldn't anymore make up that cliffside. So we decided, so we just pulled into a petrol station, gave some money to a cleaner boy, and he let us to stay, a security man, and he put us into one of the mechanic bays. I don't know, it sounds ridiculous.
Along behind her wheel to make it half of it.
So it looks like the truck is getting work done, and we're going to stay there for tonight. So yeah, we don't feel disappointed. I mean, we are obviously with the group, but the road that the guy took us to, it was...
We got abandoned halfway through, and at the end of the day, the lads who's taken it said, do you want us to come with us? So you've got a man and a wife on the tour in their 50s who are in a little Land Cruiser who are just pinging along beside them, no problem. Us in a 10-ton truck with 2 young children. One's got height phobia and basically reversed on top of these single track gravel roads with 2,000 feet sheer drop.
Yeah, I will put footage in because I filmed some. However, I was terrified even to film, but it will never ever do the justice to actually how dangerous
what
it
I was
was.
trying to say there is when he was taking it, he decided to obviously, if you need assistance, we've got hairpins and all the rest of the way down, or does he want to go to the campsite himself and these other 2 get there at 1 o'clock and leave us in the shit, which is exactly the decision that he made. I said it was up to him, obviously, but
Yeah,
he chose to that the 50-year-olds
in the little land cruise.
Will not manage, but us in the big truck and 2 kids will manage. And of course we did manage. I mean, Mark is honestly, you've excelled above
At
any.
what level? I mean, it's
Yeah,
late,
he's
kids
really-
are exhausted.
Yeah.
A nervous wreck. I mean, any other time you could have driven up to that campsite.
Yeah,
But because
it's-
we're driving up to, we don't trust the guy because he said it was open plains, we feel open roads.
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, I'll put the footage together. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's just a
It was,
road,
it,
mountain pass.
and the thing is that the gorge we did yesterday, gorge to Daddy's, it was a tarmac road with some separation from the cliffs. I mean, the one he took us today wasn't even a recognized road, and for a truck. I mean, I suppose he said to me, hey, the truck would get up, but we're not testing the capabilities of the truck, you know.
Because you've got to remember as well, you've got a little Land Cruiser and he's driving along on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
scooting along. You can't see nothing. We're right in the middle of the road, about 10 feet higher and looking straight down the gorge, getting thrown about in the cab with a phobia. I just
Yeah,
can't do it.
that's
I can't do
insane.
the children. my wife
And
do
we are
that.
so much higher, we see so much more,
We
all
just
that
go straight
scenery.
down, you know, and
Yeah.
I can't do that. I mean, I just panic.
Even, I
I'll
mean,
freeze.
absolutely, and then Mark was reversing down the single track road with the help of the guide. I mean, the guide is
He was
absolutely,
telling me to go the other way.
yeah, that was really bad. And to be honest, when he had to reverse his Land Rover, he was poor as well, so I think his driving skills are questionable. So no, we can't rely on, even, to be honest, there was a couple of times even that bridge we went over, I mean, it's like, oh, and even the wires, the places where we went,
Yeah,
it's just do it do your own judgment or something, and it's like, well, what do we do if it's
yeah, we're going through these small
Yeah.
villages that he's obviously guiding us through in a truck that he knows. We've explained to him all height sizes, and he didn't listen.
Yeah.
And we came across bridges, little concrete bridges, and he just stands there and says, "Oh, if it's suitable, on you go." And they just disappear. They get out of there as quick as they can.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for that for help, but what I'm saying is, if they're going to take you as a guide, I can do it myself later.
Yeah.
Because what we would do is we would research these things, and we
well,
would go.
when we go through Spain or France or something, if we do ourselves, we spend time, we do the route which is appropriate to our truck, you know. Stop yelling, please. Yeah, it was just a shambles. I'm genuine shambles. We're not.
We've travelled for 20
We have,
years,
yeah.
and this has been the worst day.
And it is
I'm
a
not
shame.
just saying that because I mean it was genuinely terrifying
Yeah.
for me, and I put my family at risk. You know, and at the point, I mean, even Layla was saying earlier, and I said everybody out the truck. If somebody's going over, it's me. You know, and it's like, what are we
I didn't
doing here?
realize we're taking that type of risk anyway. You know, it's like, of course, we didn't get out of the car because it just inched and inched and inched, but it was silly.
And
The
then
whole
obviously
thing was
his
silly.
wife came.
I really
with
felt
the second-
unsupported as well about her because when
They just sat in the car.
she just sat and hid it from all that disaster, you know. I just found it horrendous. But anyway, here is our food coming, you see. We ordered some lovely tagine. So there you go, here it comes. That is huge. Cheese. Look at that.
Can I get now? That is huge.
Whoa. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Wow!
Wow. Thank you.
Daddy!
So I don't know if you can make out, but basically this is the place where we are staying tonight, and I'll show you. The man has put some
You do it tomorrow. You can lock.
logs for us there. You see? Oh, you probably can't see, but you can see just the normal. So yeah, this is absolutely the place.
Right, now, down.
This is it. We're staying in a petrol station in this bay, and it's pure lush. We decided we were going to go to Merzuka. That was the next place after Trinkai to go to Merzuka, and we thought we were going to go and speak to them just to explain what happened and stuff, because we
also-
they were in the wrong.
Also, we'd done this trip for our children, and we'd been to
We
Merzuka
promised,
before,
yeah.
and we promised the desert, we promised the dunes, we promised everything, and we were not going to let them down.
No, and so we made our way there to Merzuka, and Kevin was so defensive to start off with, obviously completely oblivious what is happening. So I did pin him down, and I did say to him, you know, you are accountable. You took us there. We did not end up in that predicament. Just us bimbling along. We took a guide on for that reason. So we are safe.
Fully
you know.
explained the vehicle
Everything,
and my
and-
phobias, everything.
And he was very dismissive and things, you know. And I thought to myself, they are not taking any accountability. So you got to think about your future when you are wanting to go on trips. I honestly think if you struggle to find maybe a local guide, maybe do it yourself. Do the homework. The trips you've done up till now, we've never been in a
had a
position that we
problem.
cannot get back. You know.
No, and at the same time, and even on some of the positions like One Life Adventures, where you're going into big trips, you know, you're going into doing desert trips and things like that. There is a briefing.
There is a
There
briefing.
is a
There
discussion
is a
where you're
mechanic.
going. There
There
is,
is-
you know,
There's the
all the
recovery
basics.
gear. He doesn't have even recovery
he's got
gear.
nothing. He doesn't even have diff lockers,
No.
and he's taking you up gravel tracks. There's no way
No.
that he should be in that position.
And today we are moving on. We're gonna go to Marzuka because last night we couldn't make it, obviously. And,
Which was no worry to me, I'll tell you.
no, because they actually achieved a lot more. We gave the guys, we said we gave him 50 dirham, and he let us to stay there. Mark got water. This morning there was a cafe. We had a breakfast. We had
Take the exit to N10.
we got all sorted, so it was not much of a problem. And we always find that when we do ourselves, I
In
think we
half a
get on
mile,
better, don't we?
turn right.
Absolutely. When you rely on others,
Yeah.
especially a lot of people who do it for money. You know, not saying them all, we've had good guides as well, but
In half a mile,
they do
turn right onto N10.
do it for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's a job, but they do it for themselves, and they don't really care. A lot of these people you find, if they do it all the time, if they live in their cars and they're away for 6-8 months, whatever, you know, and that's their job, that's their life. What kind of person are they? That's why you've got to ask yourself what you put your trust into.
Yeah, definitely. We just felt like quite let down by the whole situation. But this is it, you know, you learn. You get on yourself, and that's exactly what we
I
did
think that's
again.
why we're doing these videos as well, because we'll learn and hope everybody else learns. But
Yeah, it's a learning curve
trust
for us.
yourself, you know, things aren't that hard. It's easier ourselves. It's better. We're more refreshed. We're more relaxed. The people are lovely. They'll help you out more. If you want to go and see sites, do some research. You know, by all means, get a guide, but don't put your trust and your faith into them.
Yeah.
Have all your
Definitely.
own plans yourself, and just get them as a background thing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And even a wee bit of homework. It's always handy to have your
Turn
own.
right onto N10.
Yeah. Just because they say they know or can, it means nothing actually.
But the main thing is we're in the desert, and
Keep right
it's just
Yeah.
so much
N10.
easier for others.
Absolutely. This is the only reason why we're still sticking with the group. Not just yet. We are hoping we're gonna go to the campsite. They are staying overnight. It's a shame because we are paid for the same guiding thing. It's just we don't get it. So just gonna carry on. We got about 300 kilometers to go, and we are going to Marzuka. So we have stopped to many places before to get some data for our Morocco Telecom SIM card. And most of the people don't speak obviously English, they don't understand what we are going on about. But we stopped at this place just outside Risani, and a lady, I'll show the photo as well. Eventually when I make film, she will recognize herself because her sister and her brother, they're all teachers, so she made me to subscribe to all her channels. But that's the lady here, her name is Nora. 1 second. Let me see. That's Nora. And she was extremely helpful, and she put some data for my son into the card. So yeah, it's all happy days again. There you go. The excitement is an understatement. Look, there are some dunes. We are approaching them. We are in Marzuka. We reached it last night, and I'll show you around. It looks really nice, but we're about to move because we want to go find some
Quad bikes.
quad bikes to go and drive through the dunes, don't we, Mark?
Yes, let's go get this big pile of
Stop north.
soft sand first.
Yeah, so Marcus, I'm just going to show you where we stayed overnight, which was nice.
Which is beautiful.
Look. Yeah, so there you go. It looks nice. Nice, right?
Very soft sand.
Huh?
Very soft sand actually. Well, we're checking.
River is guiding his dad. Huh? Uh-huh.
Road! Yeah, big trucks.
Oh.
Yeah, big trucks.
No,
Mommy, food.
food. This is nice.
I want to bring on plate. Me too.
That looks nice. I think we should go there. Is that it?
Yep.
So you're just gonna go there and park? Be the easiest for you. How do you know to go this close?
Hmm?
Oh, you're a better driver than I will ever be. You're aligning it straight, yeah? Okay, so let's go and have some coffee, Fanta, maybe something to eat. So the hunt for the place where to stay for tonight continues. So now the view is like this. Now we were told that this place is fully booked already, but now we are gonna go there. I'm gonna try to find out if we can stay there just in a truck and just use the facilities for the night. So that's what we are gonna do now. Mark is driving. Kids are sitting. They've been jumping about with some local kids for 2 hours, so they are knackered. Gonna follow a guy randomly stopped. We're still looking for this place, like place number 100. So he said basically, there's a guy stopped in a truck, a Defender, and said, "Follow me. I'll show you where this place is." So we're gonna go there now. I'll show you. This is the guy. River, lie down. Lie down, darling. Riyadh Madhu. That's where they're going. It's a hotel. So yeah, we're just gonna follow this guy now. This is just really random. This has been just a weird day.
He knows everybody around here. This is the thing. There's not one person that doesn't know everybody else. It's all money. You know, if they can't find you something, they'll know somebody that can.
Yeah.
They're all there to help each other. Quite rightfully, it's not your game. You know.
Yeah, that's right. But it's a bit strange because obviously we have been looking for a place. The most places we've been going have been full. So the guy gave us a number to phone this guy, but the Moroccan phone we have, let's just go straight to answer machine. So this guy in the white Defender stopped and like started speaking to us and said, "I'll take you to this Riyadh Madhu," and we are going there now. The place where the guy in the Defender took us there is no space, and this was Riyadh Madhu, and there is no space there for us. It's full. So Mark asked this guy that we're following, why did he stop for us? We randomly stopped at the road, and he jumped us to speak to us. And it turns out that he's what does it turn out, Mark? What did he say to you?
He has a rally raid garage that works on rally cars, and he knows the rally raid, the Morocco rally raid, this truck, and he knows the organiser of the rally raid. And he said if one of the rally main trucks or cars or anything like that's in trouble, then he stopped. That's all it was. Come and help.
To come and help us. So there you go. Sometimes more luck, and now we're following again him because he's found somebody else, and apparently they have a room. So we will. And buggies. Yeah, it was
We're
like.
not looking for much, but a nice comfortable bed, a toilet and a shower would
be nice.
You know, if it's got nice food is a bonus, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
because it's okay, but when you're travelling in Africa and things like that, with ropey, that's why we've got our own house, that's why we have the time, money and effort to do this.
Yeah. But it does feel weird. Here. With the tour just arriving. Yeah, so apparently the place is here. I don't know what it's called, but the locals seem to be all piling in there. The skill kids and all that. So yeah. Riyadh Mamochi. And he says to park in there. Is that okay? I just want to show you the place we stay once we're walking up to our room. So there you go. Do you have the key? The key is there probably. Look how nice it is. Maybe it's upstairs. Oh, ask the man at the front desk, Dad. Yeah. Funny. Right, stay away from water, please. 7:30, please. Yeah. We're gonna go have a shower quickly. Where? There, yeah. That's the restaurant.
That? Oh, yeah.
It's very, very, very pretty. And look, check this all out. Check it all out. These are the things we've been driving. Look, look, look how beautiful. How amazing. We are lucky sods.
And that's where we got ourselves into that position, and I blame myself for that because Kevin and Heike are cowboys. They're the worst sort of people who say that they're going to take you to do things, have no respect for the countries that they go in. They're there for themselves. They have rest days. The rest days on their tour are rest for them.
Built for them.
It's built for them. They'll take their car to a garage to get fixed. They'll go and get meats and that from cheap markets, and they try to build that into the tour. It's just they're away from the UK for 6 months, staying in their car, and you're paying for it.
And
that is the long and short of it.
And if you will have any issue, anything at all, you are on your own. You will gonna have to sort out yourself.
What I want to discuss, so this is our experience, but and it's because we're in a big truck, and I wanted people to be able to enjoy going in their big trucks and enjoy their big trucks and use them for what they're for. Whether you have phobias or not, it doesn't really matter. But what we want to do is to find out, I want to know, what is a guide? What are your ideas? Tell me below. What is a guide? What do you expect from a
what
guide?
are the expectations?
Should you be abandoned? Should you have public liability? Should you have knowledge? Or am I now a guide? Am I a guide?
Just because we have been
I've been there.
places,
I've driven down that road. I've been to a few of the sites. Can I now guide you? Can I take you, and is that acceptable? Because in my eyes, it's not. If I'm going to be paying somebody, they've got to be accountable. If they're going to lead me and my family to a place, they've got to make sure I can do it, not my own ability, at least the vehicle is capable, which there was no check.
But I also want to say to you, even like somebody would say, but the vehicle could have done it. I did not go on this trip to test the capabilities of the vehicle. This was not the intention of the trip. The trip was a recreational trip to see Morocco people, culture. The spiel he said, it was well sold to us, but none of that came true. I at no point ever thought I need to take my rescue with me because just in case I fall off the cliff.
Absolutely.
It's ludicrous.
I'm not under the impression for 1 second that the Red Bull racing truck, Paris Dakar truck, can't horse round those corners sideways and go up there and do it at 80 miles an hour.
Overladen.
But the difference is that's them. That's what they want to do. Do I want to do that? No. Do I want to be in that position? Am I capable of being in the position? Has the truck that I've made that's never been tested able to be in that position? Don't know.
And the thing
and this is the thing, that's not the
absolutely.
place to test it.
Yeah, and then we would never sign up to the trip.
No.
Let's test the truck and let's see if we come out alive of it. You know, that's ridiculous. But another thing is that I've really seen a massive failing in this so-called trip was that they never ever let people, or us including, to see what is to come.
No.
They never, you know, you really should discuss your route. You know,
Yep.
these are just the common things you do.
Yeah, these are the things you've got to look out for. You know, if you're getting a guide, and this is including Land Rovers and all the rest of it, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Do your homework. You know, what is a guide? What are their responsibilities? Is there a guild for these people?
Yeah.
Do they have big responsibilities? They're looking after me and my children and my wife's. As far as we're concerned, you know, we need to take this for others, but we need to get this out in the community. We need people to say, look, if you're going to go on a guided tour, what do you expect from a guide? Do you think that's okay? Do you think because you've built that truck and you're paying somebody to guide you somewhere, it is your solely responsibility, that it's up to you if you can't manage to do those sections that he's leading you to
Without
and
offering alternative routes.
Yeah, and you die and kill yourself or your family, wipe your car out, kill others. Where do you stand? No, where is this? What is this?
Yeah.
You know, is this, because I wasn't aware of this. I honestly thought on the trips that I've all been before that the person was trained in first aid, he was trained in field medicine, he was trained in recovery, he was trained in getting vehicles through certain sections, he'd driven those sections to make sure that the vehicles that he's got on those trips can make those sections. He's also checked the vehicles to make sure that they are in a condition to get through those sections. Nothing. But don't get me wrong, none of these sections were even meant to be there as far as the initial discussions were concerned. We were just driving about Morocco having a look at the sites. There was none of this sections to start off with.
But since we landed in these sections, it also became apparent that he's washing his hands clean, nothing to do with us, nothing, no care.
And that's the other thing. Do you think that's an acceptable thing? Would you expect your guide, if you'd got yourself in a position, to leave you? You know, because... And if you are a tour guide, or if you do know tour guides, mention to them, what would they do? I'd like to hear from tour guides. I'd like to hear from professionals to say, yeah, that's exactly what you signed up for. That's exactly what you paid for. And you're to blame. Then I'll take that. And I will accept that. Because I won't be doing that again. Or
I can't see that being the case, because I've been to many tours and that
I can't see that
was the first one for us.
But everybody has a different opinion and everybody has a different idea. But if you are a guide, and if you are a guide in Morocco and local guide in Morocco, let me know. Let me know below, because I think a lot of people would be interested on the back of this. Because I think you just expect to go on a tour to whatever level. Remember, this wasn't an off-road tour, this wasn't a high atlas tour. You know, this had been discussed about phobias, truck first time out. What do you think? I would like to hear comments below about this experience, because we are physically and mentally shaken by this. You know, we are traumatized by this. But the one thing I will say to end this is when we left Kevin and Heike, it was like a weight off our shoulders, and we loved Morocco. We loved the tour. You can do this yourself. There was nothing that they did or showed that was beneficial, only detrimental to the country and to the travel. Stay away from those two and do it yourself.
The essence of the channel actually is to share our experiences, and that's why we didn't want. This video is going to come out first, because I always make up a amateur thing about our time away, and I never have shied away from, even when we smacked the bloody thing, you know, in France and things. This is our life, you know. We learn sometimes the expensive way, in a horrific way. By look of things, we again had this horrific way of another experience to learn, but we want to share this to if one person, one family takes something out of this, I think we've achieved already, because you need to do homework.
And I naively
and stay away from them too.
I naively followed Kevin and Heike.
Yeah,
naively,
so did I. Yeah.
Like my children followed me.
Yeah.
Into that position, and that is the responsibility, and that's why I'm discussing this, because my children sitting in the back there naively were not expecting the consequences of my actions that could have happened.
Yeah. And the thing is, one more time, it's all about accountability. No way them two can just basically I closed their ears and like, I don't want to hear this, I don't like this. So, you know,
Let's go. Let's leave them to it. Because if they do go over the edge, it's their fault.
Yeah, and that's why they screamed away from us. I'm still.
That's why they left.
And that's why she didn't even come out. Heike was sitting in the car. It was a horrific moment. As a woman, you know, you would expect a girl power or something where you get some form of, I don't know, mental nurturing or something. It'll be fine. We'll sort this out. Nothing. They're like rats leaving the ship. It's horrific feeling, you know, and you paid for that. We gave our money, our hard-earned money for that.
We would not be there.
No.
If it wasn't for them. End of.
No.
Don't get me wrong, I would have went to the first section, I would have done the tarmac bit, I would have went up to the hotel. You know, it is a well-known part of Morocco. You know, it's something, get a grip of yourself, Mark, you're going to have to get this done. There's lorries going up and down there. I could have sat quite easily and waited for one of the lorries as I was intending to do, but I was in such a state I just went for it myself. Wait till a lorry comes down, pull in behind them and just follow them down. You know, that way you can manage it. You can do things. You can do incredible things yourself. But the one thing I will say right now is that I don't need to be put at 52 years old. I do not need to be learning lessons about myself through terror. I've thought of this.
No.
And it's like, do I need to be putting myself through this? Do I need to know how I would act and react? Yes, I'm proud of myself. I'm more proud of Layla for getting us out of this and talking me through this. But do I need this lesson? No, I don't.
No, definitely not.
I don't, and certainly not with my children. You know, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. I do not need to be taking their lives into my hands because of these two. I don't need to be taking these lessons.
No.
I don't. I can be sitting on a beach someplace if that's what this is meant to be, you know. But please comment below. Like, share and comment, because I want this one to go quite far. I think it's relevant.
We're also looking for genuine opinion on this, because at the end of the day, you know, all overlanding company, we're all together.
And there are more and more big trucks. In the UK especially, there's more big trucks, there's more channels on big trucks. There's people going out there, you know, Penelope and all the rest of it, they're going out there, they're doing their things. You know, the trucking Celts, they've obviously been out, they've had an accident, things like that. You know, they know that the mountain passes, a lot of people do, but that's on their own.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to do it because we didn't have the time.
And that's what we wanted to be responsible. Supposedly engage a guide. Well, look where he got us. So don't do that. You know,
not that guy. But please, like, comment,